Would previous Michigan teams have won that game on Saturday night? Well, we'll never know, but what we do know is that Michigan did win that game on Saturday night, and the Wolverines are 6-0 for the first time since 2016. Michigan 32, Nebraska 29. We got Justin Rowe on the line from Blue by 90 podcast to help us break Michigan down as he typically does. Justin, how you doing?
Doing well. It's been 80 plus degrees here in Ann Arbor the last 2 days, which I'm not sure. I'm not a weatherman, but I'm not sure the last time that has happened in mid-October. So although it does feel like football season because, obviously there was a great college football weekend in general. Holy smokes. But the weather's not cooperating. I guess it's cooperating if you enjoy the sun. Usually around this time, we're having some rain games, we're having cold weather, and maybe we'll see it in the end of October. But for right now, it truly is all sunshine and rainbows here in Ann Arbor.
This was a matchup of two former quarterbacks who have obviously come home to take their programs to new heights and with mixed results, much more favorable for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan than Scott Frost at Nebraska. But those parallels were drawn all week, and we've been drawing them for years. Yeah. At the same time, two tremendous programs, two of the 9 programs in the history of college football with 900 wins, all sorts of ingredients that went into a great college football spectacle. But then the game delivered. And Michigan led 13-0 at half. That Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum combination certainly showed its worth. Mr. Inside and Outside and the power speed combination. And those guys, without their contributions, probably it's a loss starting there.
For sure. And Blake Corum had definitely separated himself as a bit. He was RB1 for sure. I think everyone would agree with that. But they still had that 1-2 punch. Well, on Saturday, they flipped the script, and Hassan Haskins was the guy. And they just punched it up the middle. Obviously, he had the one run where he hurdled a man. And I don't know if I've ever seen somebody hurdle a man and keep going as long as he did, which was impressive. But, I thought the game plan for Michigan was interesting but good for coming from Josh Gaddis. They threw the ball by far the most times than they have all year, but still had a very impactful running game. And so that I really applaud Josh Gaddis. I feel like I've done that every week, outside of maybe the Rutgers game on this show here. But I thought Josh Gaddis's game plan and play calling was really good, especially in an environment where the crowd was raucous and, Michigan seemed to be able to do everything they wanted in the first half, but then not so much in the second half. And so the only thing that I would say that Michigan needs to focus on is getting the ball into the end zone. Thank God for Jake Moody because he came in clutch. People were calling him Money Moody on Saturday, that's for sure. And so he goes 4 for 4. And saves the day for Michigan, especially down to the wire at the end there. But I thought this offense, Cade McNamara, going to the quarterback position as well. I didn't think he had his best game, but he commanded the offense and led them down the field in certain situations where they absolutely needed points. So I think he did a good enough job to win the football game, which was all you really could ask of him.
Yeah, for all the complaints and the discussions that we've had here concerning the passing game and the limited number of throws, if you want balance, 42 runs and 39 passes, and McNamara came through with 255 yards and his first career interception. Dalen Baldwin figured into the offense a little bit more prominently than he has in the past. So when you look at the entirety of the offensive performance, would it just be the red zone concerns that would come to the forefront?
I would say the red zone concerns do. I think that is my biggest thing that I don't like about Josh Gaddis, to be honest. he gets very conservative when Michigan gets into the red zone, and then all of a sudden it's run up the gut, and then they can't do it, and you settle for a field goal. I wish he would continue the same type of game plan he had getting down to the red zone as he does when he gets into the red zone. But my other main concern is Cade McNamara and the deep ball. They left probably 2 or 3 touchdowns on the board on Saturday because Cade McNamara missed a couple guys. There were a few. Mike Sainer still on the completely horizontal diving catch, saved Cade's butt on that one too. Otherwise, that's overthrown. Cade made some fantastic throws on Saturday. Don't get me wrong, but there were some big throws that if he connects on those, all of a sudden Michigan goes up 3 or 4 scores, and it's not a close ball game by the end of it.
Got Justin Rowe on the line from Blue by 90 podcast. Please check him out on Twitter at Justin Rowe 92. Michigan wins to go to 6-0. They've got a bye week, then they got Northwestern, and you could also instill the joke that they've got consecutive bye weeks. But Northwestern, a lot of respect for the Northwestern program, but not going well this year for Pat Fitzgerald and company. They had given up 657 yards and 56 points to the same Nebraska team. Justin, you made the comment to me before we started to record that you were good with the game ending when it did. Of course, you had the win and the 2 field goals to come back from 3 down in the fourth quarter. But, you just had a feeling that the Nebraska offense continued to gain more and more momentum. And, of course, they had the place rocking.
Oh, for sure. I mean, momentum was on their side, and that's why I do give this Michigan team and defense credit and the offense credit too. It's very easy in that environment when a team starts rolling. They had multiple big plays for touchdowns in that third quarter. It's easy for a team to fold, right? And especially a team that hadn't seen that environment yet this year, especially after last year where they had no fans. So now it's the first time in really 2 years, because Madison, Wisconsin was not normal Madison, Wisconsin, I'd say. So for the first time in 2 years, with your quarterback for the first time in his entire career in a night game on the road, I applaud that team and this coaching staff for staying in it and staying strong and tough. They did the thing at the end of the third quarter again where they danced to the other team's music, which – at the Wisconsin game, they were up, so that made sense. They had a lot of momentum themselves, Michigan did. This time, they were down, and Nebraska had scored 22 straight points. So for them to still stay up and have that energy and that resilience, I thought it was really good to see of Jim Harbaugh's team. I was also told by somebody that was on the field and at the game that they have never seen Jim Harbaugh the way he was after this game, high-fiving and hugging every single player and coach as they came off the field. And he truly looks like he enjoys this football team and loves them as players and coaches. We haven't seen Jim excited and enjoying football for the past few years. So it seems like there's something different about him, and it's showing in his team as well.
Well, it was mere speculation on our part, but I know in trying to figure out where this program was, where he was as an individual, responding to the criticism, also responding to the revised contract stipulations and agreement, where he was going to be with that. And there was one theory that we both discussed that he was just going to kind of go for broke and say, hey, this is what it is, and I've got nothing to lose, so let's let it all ride. And it appears as though that's has been his attitude.
Yeah, and I mean, again, he's a guy who could cash it in as well, right? He could have said at the end of last year, I'm just not feeling it here anymore. I need a new start. I haven't lived up to those expectations. So I applaud Jim Harbaugh for saying, screw this. I'm going to take his head on, and we'll see what happens here. And he made all the changes on the staff. He's revived the energy in the locker room. I have a theory, too, that Aiden Hutchinson has reignited Jim Harbaugh with Aiden's passion. If you saw them going after it at the end of the game, they're coming off the field, Jim's going to shake hands, and they're shaking each other, screaming into each other's face in excitement. those two guys are the guys that it looks like you want to lead your football team. And so right now, Jim is a guy that clearly has control. Aiden's a guy that is the leader of that locker room, and everyone listens to him. It seems like they have a great culture in this moment. We'll see if they can continue that throughout a whole season.
Well, they faced adversity for the first time, real adversity for the first time. Rutgers pushed them, but they always were playing in front. And the road crowd, of course, against them, the environment, a team that with all of its inabilities to close out opponents has been playing well against three consecutive fairly highly ranked teams. When you look at the Michigan defensive performance, this may be the first one that they got gashed a little bit. And again, you're not going to shut everyone down. Did you see anything specific there that you think that they can work on over the next week or two?
Yeah, I thought the linebackers now in 2 weeks, I guess it was more in the Rutgers game than it was the Wisconsin game, but the linebackers have been exposed a little bit. Josh Ross specifically, as good as he's been all year, he's their leader on the defensive side of the ball as the linebacker. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson starts it up front, but he got in mismatches and turned around a couple times where Nebraska did a really good job, especially in the second half, of moving things around, late substitutions and things like that, motions. And then Michigan got caught a couple times where people didn't know exactly where they were supposed to be, or they were late lining up, and that's when they got caught in a touchdown or a long play. And so I think what they have to get in check here in the next 2 weeks is making sure that they know what their assignment is, get up to the line and get ready to play football. Especially, in that situation, they're going to be in that same situation no matter the game time in East Lansing in a couple weeks. And Michigan State's offense is dynamic. They have big playability, and so they're going to bring out all the stops. We know Michigan State, even without Mark D'Antonio, loves trick plays and all that stuff too. You can't get caught on your heels not knowing what your assignment is. But I will say Dax Hill he's been a 5-star guy. He has truly come into his own on that defense. He made an unbelievable interception on Saturday. He made multiple plays. I thought this secondary I didn't think the secondary got beat as much as the defense as a whole got beat when Nebraska was moving the ball. It wasn't like there was one-on-one all the time or the secondary got beat. It was more so the scheme of the entire play pulled Michigan's defense into a bad position, and that's what happened there. So I will say, even though they got gashed in the second half, I still want to applaud Mike McDonald for what he's done to this defense in year one.
After the big game in Nebraska, and of course the huge outcome at Iowa City with Penn State going down to Iowa, now we've got a bit of a reprieve in regards to the schedule. Not a whole lot of big action this week, and then it kind of kicks in. And of course, we got 6 games in the books for just about everybody, and 6 games to go. And Maryland and Rutgers have pretty much shown who they are the last couple of weeks against the big boys. Michigan State continues to take care of business. So those 4 teams at the top of the Big Ten East, all playing each other here over the course of 5 or 6 weeks, is going to be something else.
First of all, can we get rid of divisions or figure something out here in the Big Ten? It's killing us. You got 4 teams in the top 10 on just the east side, and then Iowa obviously in the top 10 on the west. So first of all, 5 top 10 teams in the Big Ten for the first time in history, which is nuts. But I think there is, to your point, there was separation from the top and the middle, I think, in the last couple weeks. Now there's going to be separation just in the top over the next probably 3 to 4 weeks too. And so Iowa's obviously their schedule is ridiculous over the next, the rest of the season. They play essentially nobody. I think Nebraska is going to be their toughest game to end the year, which Nebraska may be in good shape by then or really bad shape. They could go one of 2 ways. But as far as the East goes, I still have no idea. Do you? I mean, it's like it could come out as Michigan, it could come out as Michigan State, it could come out as Penn State, and then I mean, my gut still says Ohio State because it's Ohio State and they've done it every year, but they could very well trip up, in this Penn State game, in the Michigan game. They've got to play MSU. It's going to be kind of crazy going down the stretch.
Ohio State has probably been the least tested because at least Michigan and Michigan State took on a pretty formidable Nebraska team that I would say is probably a top 30 to 40 team in the country.
Best 3 and 4 team maybe ever, because they've got 3 losses to top 10 teams, right?
Absolutely. Maryland and Rutgers, again, I think they're capable teams. They are fringe bowl teams, but they clearly showed in the last couple of weeks that they're just not up to it. And Ohio State decimated both of them, just obliterated them. And so they did what you would expect Ohio State to do. But we're going to get the games we all want to see here in the next several weeks. And who knows, Penn State could be undefeated with a healthy Sean Clifford playing the rest of the game there at Iowa, because they were certainly statistically the better team in the first half. Good stuff, Justin. Appreciate you stopping by. As always, Michigan at 6-0 for the first time since 2016. And I think that the second half of this schedule is going to be crazy good.
It's going to be fun. I mean, if we can get a couple more Saturdays like we had this past weekend, my life will be complete. Obviously, I'd rather see the boys in maize and blue come out on top every week too. But it's been a fun. Football is back, right? College football is so back, and I think these are the weekends that we missed last year. But it is going to be a fun stretch, and I know there are a lot of people in Ann Arbor here who are circling October 30th in East Lansing coming up soon, and then everyone's looking at November 27th as well. But I think they've got to get through it a couple games on the schedule. But it's going to be a heck of an October, November here for the Big Ten for sure.
And don't forget about Penn State. Only one loss in the conference.
I know. That's the thing, is you got those, 2 big games of MSU and OSU and Penn State in the middle of them. So it is going to be a tough stretch, and Michigan will show to be either the real deal or a regular 9-3 team.
All right, Justin, during the bye week, you can watch other college football with no stress and then kick it into gear the next week.
Perfect. I can't wait to crack a beer on Saturday and just enjoy the couch and watch, and knowing that I don't have to worry about anything.